Let's now take you live, of course, to Bela Bela in Limpopo, where SABC News reporter Katlego Nyoni is standing by. We understand that the MK party was holding or hosting a sitting there in Bela Bela. Katlego, a very good afternoon to you. What do you have for us? What has been, of course, the objective of the MK holding these talks, particularly in Bela Bela?
Well, hi there, good afternoon, and to our viewers as well. Yes, following the swearing in of the 58 MK party members recently, the uMkhonto, We Sizwe Party is concluding its 3-day strategic dialogue meeting in Bela Bela. The aim here is to essentially come up with a strategy for the party, especially going into the coming 5 years. We know that some of the bigwigs and some of the leaders of the MK party, including President Jacob Zuma, Matela Koko, as well as Lucky Montana, Des Van Rooyen, and the others, are now currently in a strategic meeting where they are paving essentially the way forward for the party. The meeting started here in Bela Bela, and it's a 3-day strategic meeting which is expected to conclude today. But essentially what the party is saying is that they'll be looking at their strategy as well as tactics. They're going to be also unpacking some of the constitution of the party going into this meeting, and hoping that the coming 5 years will prove that the party is indeed prepared to perhaps, take up the leadership space. We've seen that the party had its party members sworn in recently in Parliament. Alicia?
All right. I understand you were supposed to have the spokesperson for the MK for us, but talk to us about when this meeting is going to actually conclude, and maybe take us through some of the prominent members of the MK that have actually been installed in the local legislature there in Bela Bela in Limpopo.
I'm struggling to hear you quite clearly, but I'm going to bring in the national spokesperson there of the MK party, that is Nhlanhla Ndlela, to perhaps give us a highlight about the strategic dialogue that the party is hosting here today in Bela Bela, which concludes. By the way, let me bring in the spokesperson. Thank you very much for your time on the SABC News channel. Kindly unpack to us the importance and some of the strategy that the party speaks of. And you are concluding this 3-day meeting that we refer to as a HOBA in Bela Bela.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity. Yes, we are having a, should we say, long extended weekend of a workshop. We're going to be discussing, or we've been discussing, a number of aspects of uMkhonto We Sizwe as a party, our strategy going forward, how we aim to take the country back in a form of, documentation and input on the documentation. So documentation as it pertains to, firstly, the constitution that everyone's been asking, does uMkhonto We Sizwe have a constitution? Yes, we've had a draft constitution. We're solidifying inputs in that, and that document is near complete. We're also looking at documentation around character and theory, issues around what's our posture as an organization, and what an MK member ought to be, and how we want to see civil society, and various aspects that come to that. And so, it's been a very instrumental weekend for us in terms of our journey. And there's going to be very good things coming out of it, especially coming into account the issue of the 2026 local elections.
Just take us through the meeting, which is currently in process, that is closed. Who are some of the leaders of the party that are in attendance, and what is topping the agenda there?
Well, President Zuma is here as our leader, and other leaders of the party, including myself, the SG, DSG, and various other doctors, engineers, as we've mentioned, key players in the organization. Aspects go, in various, we focus on various aspects effectively, from healthcare, all sorts of industry, the economy, land, naturally, which is a very key one for us, and also some of the parliamentarians that have been sworn in, and some that are still going to be sworn in. And yeah, so we're having very interesting discussions. But I can tell you now, off the back of what has been discussed here, Parliament is going to be very interesting. uMkhonto is going to bring a totally different element and a totally different approach in terms of how we deal with things and how we raise things in Parliament. And we're going to be raising things that are totally unique that South Africans ought to be knowing about that have not been surfaced. So that's our responsibility, and it's going to be very interesting, especially if this so-called GNU continues, whatever that is.
That brings me to my next question. There's a looming announcement of the possible Government of National Unity Cabinet. What is the MK's feeling towards the GNU at this particular stage? That announcement is imminent.
Well, Ramaphosa has taken the black vote and given racist whites power, led by Helen Zille. It's sad that an organization that ought to be progressive like the ANC is not engaging with progressive parties like uMkhonto, weSizwe, and the EFF, so we can have a two-third majority to transform this country. Why does he take the black vote? And that's what members of the ANC ought to be asking themselves, and black South Africans that voted for Cyril Ramaphosa's ANC. And I know some of them wanted to vote for the ANC, but they've turned out to realize that they've actually given it to a sellout. And he's selling us out. He's selling us out to whites who are racist. So we should be asking ourselves, what kind of a leader actually goes and engages with racist whites as opposed to engaging with MK?
Thank you very much, Mr. Ndlela. Well, there you have it. The message from the party is quite loud and clear. We can actually also hear some singing in the background, possibly an indication that the meeting there where some of the leaders are in attendance is about to wrap up. But today is essentially the last day of this 3-day discussion by members of the MK party.
Thank you so much to SABC News reporter Katlego Nyoni in Bela Bela.